Okay, so this is Gregory Passman, and I have with me Joe Teagarden and Farah Allen and George Poirier. And these gentlemen are all part of what's called the Chiron Brotherhood. We've been together now for 26 years, if I'm not mistaken. And we'd like to address some of our issues, challenges, and fears with the present virus that's going on, the COVID-19 or coronavirus as it's called. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start with Joe. And Joe, what I'd like for you to do is just address any fears, concerns you may have, any personal experiences, and what you're doing to counter those particular experiences. Take it away, Joe.
All right. Well, I'm currently in Texas, just a couple hours north of Houston, and we're reopening the state of Texas. And there's quite a bit of enthusiasm. I'm in an RV park where we sort of getting in a line 6 feet apart to go get our mail, and we're our own post office here in Texas. And I was getting my mail, and the gentleman that was a couple slots ahead of me, I overheard a little of his exuberant share that, you know, he was so glad that the restrictions were taken off, that we can travel, that we can roam around, that we don't. And his take on it was that we no longer needed mask, gloves, or the 6 feet of separation, 2 meters of separation. And so he started getting assertive with his and started walking up to people, and he was pretty much yelling at people and getting right in their face and saying, you know, hey, we're free. There's no such thing as this COVID thing, you know, and we've been taken down this horrible path. And of course he looked at me, and here I am with my mask on and my gloves and everything. And he just walked right up to me and breathed really hard on me. You know, it's like, you know,
shit.
And right. And I'm like, and pretty much decided not to aggravate him or bring any further attention to him. So I just, you know, went into took a point in front of me, and, you know, just went into that point. And I saw him start to reach up to grab my mask off of my face. And then all of a sudden, you know, by that time there was a crowd, and they were all starting to look at this guy like, have you lost your mind? You know? And so I think that pretty much sums up my greatest fear, you know, is that there's some folks that, especially in Texas, where the oil industry is king, you know, that there's some folks that seem to get a little overbearing with their propositions.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. I'd like to move to George Poirier. George, what would you like to share?
Well, I live just south of Atlanta, and if we're talking about my greatest fear, it's not for myself, naturally, even though, you know, I'm in the high risk category, according to, you know, all the fear mongering that's going on. But I'm very healthy. I eat right, you know, take a lot of supplements, exercise, do a lot of meditation, energy practices. So I don't have fear for this for myself, but I live with a person who has COPD, is being medically treated for it. And my greatest fear is that since I'm the only one that leaves the house to go grocery shopping once a week, that that I would possibly, or anybody would possibly, bring it into the house, and that she would get it, and I don't think she could survive it, quite frankly, especially if she got, you know, serious symptoms. From everything that I've read, these serious symptoms are no joke. 80% of everybody that's put on a ventilator, intubated, don't get off. They die. And then there's all sorts of damage through blood clotting that occurs. while people are on those ventilators and being treated with massive doses of steroids. And this clotting can produce heart attacks in people without heart disease, strokes, and damage to the kidneys and other internal organs. But those, so I'm really concerned about her, and I think about wanting to do everything in my power to protect myself. And and then the other thing that I observe a lot and think about a lot is that the impact on the collective. And I think, to me, that is an enormous conversation, and maybe we can get into that a little bit later. I think you're asking a more personal question about how this is affecting us personally, right, Greg? You don't want to get into the collective aspect of this yet, I don't think. Okay, so that would be it for me as far as how it's impacted me. I'm being, cautious, trying to be intelligent about it and protect my family. And probably my greatest fear that anybody in my family, whether it be in this house or my family of origin back in New England, would get sick. That would be my greatest fear.
Thanks, George. Farah, this is Farah Allen. Farah, would you go ahead and respond to the question?
Yeah, I'm Farah Allen. I live in Marietta, Georgia, which is right outside Atlanta, Georgia, where we've opened up the state, just like Texas is planning to do. And that's brought up a lot for me because my wife, she's an esthetician, and they tell you to be creative. You can still do your work, but nevertheless, she's putting her hands on people. They're breathing on her. She has not gone into work. However, there's a lot of pressure that she sold a lot of series, and all these women are now wanting to come in, and they're knocking down the door because our governor has said it's fine to do things like that. So that's brought up a lot of tension for me because I'm now looking at supporting both the two of us, and our lifestyle is necessitates both of us working, at least at this point in time. So that brought up a lot of tension for me. There's a lot of tension going on. Initially I had a fear of dying, and worse than that, believe it or not, I had more fear around experiencing the virus, having it, going on a ventilator, having it mess me up for the rest of my life. No telling what it would do. I'm 75. I hesitate to say old. I feel myself young. So I haven't really had that fear a whole lot. I've really been doing a lot of meditation, and my brother George here has helped me a lot with that. And I've been going inward a whole lot and doing a lot of connecting inside. And so that's really helped me alleviate a lot of that fear around the dying. So now it's just primarily what I just told you. How am I going to generate money? Fortunately, I am a life coach, and I am able to talk to clients on the phone, which I continue to do. And interestingly enough, this has brought up so much for my clients, believe it or not. You would think they'd be wanting to talk to me more. They're so distracted by all this going on. Sometimes they're even cutting the session short because they're overwhelmed. And so in attempting to support them, I've been able to support them to some degree, but it looks like facing death is a pretty big deal. So I think it's bringing up a lot of fear for all of us.
Thanks, Farah. I appreciate that. My name is Gregory Postman. I live in a little town called Todd, North Carolina, which is not far from Boone. And our governor in North Carolina has just extended his stay-at-home order through May 8th. And so I have the opposite of you guys in terms of what we're being asked to do. And what I've experienced is, number one, I miss my grandchildren and my children, and the people that I would normally be able to easily get together with. And so we're using a lot of Skype and Zoom, and even my wife's family has started doing Zoom. They're all in Canada. But that has helped tremendously. And I've actually felt a little bit of overwhelm in terms of all the Skyping and the Zooming. And it almost feels like more contact than I had before. Certainly more contact with people that I didn't have as consistent a contact with before as I do now. And that's kind of a weird thing. I've been working at home for 20 years. I'm a trans-channel, and I do all my sessions by phone or Skype. So this is not that big a great change for me. What is a great change is my exercise regimen. I mean, I was going to the gym 3 times a week. I was swimming 5 times a week, and all those facilities are closed. So I've reverted to working out on the treadmill upstairs, and also riding my bicycle down on the flattest road near us and using that as my exercise. And so that's created a little bit of anxiety for me that I can't go and do the things that I'm typically used to. The other piece of it for me is it feels like a bit of perfection, actually, in that the earth is shifting. And I know I told George we'll deal with the collective on our next recording, but I feel like, you know, it's pretty obvious there's a lot of really powerful ecological changes that are happening on the earth. And people are seeing wildlife in places where they never saw it before. The actual photographs of the earth are looking like the earth is cleansing itself. So I think in closing, I would say that it's important to take a good look at some of the optimistic things that are happening. I certainly want to send our condolences, the entire group, to anyone who has lost a relative, a loved one, a friend to this virus. For you, trying to figure out what the impact in a positive way is probably pretty difficult. And so we'd like to send our condolences to all of you if you have lost someone near, and because I know that's a tremendous sadness that goes on. So until next time, when we will join you again, this is the Chiron Brotherhood checking out, and we hope you stay safe and we hope you stay well.
See ya.